The debate in fairness within the Olympic Games is not just about rules. It's about ethics, biology, and what it truly means to compete on a fair level. The inclusion of transgender athletes within the Olympics has become an extreme, controversial topic within the sports community. Whether it's track and field or weightlifting, athletes who identify as transgender are competing alongside athletes who identified with the same sex that they were assigned at birth. While the Olympic Games were designed to showcase all that amazing, the bestest athletes in the world, it's become an extreme issue on whether or not these competitions are fair. By the end of this speech, I hope to have encouraged you guys to think critically about the fairness and inclusion of said competitions and the policies that need to be put in place to make a change. During the speech, I will talk about the controversy between these topics and issues that may be seen as issues, and the biological differences in makeup between males and females. Lastly, I'll present policies that could possibly be put in place to better the athletic community and to hopefully hold equity within future competitions. The controversy and the growing debate over fairness between athletes has become an intense topic over the last 20 years. It is said that these athletes compete in events and categories within their sport to help ensure that they are all able to compete fairly. Now these athletes, whilst competing in these events, it helps ensure fairness between these athletes. Now the reason that these were put in place was said by International Olympic Best Gender Identity by Wiley Blackwell, said that these were put in the competition not determined by the predictability or closeness of the outcome, but rather by the absence of any unfair advantages that a specific category or rule is designed to exclude. See, these are meant to benefit these athletes in said competitions. Not only that, but they're set in place so that the male and the female genetics don't clash. And it said that the size of the male biological advantage and the number of males who compete in the most sports makes it extremely unlikely for any female to ever win medals at the highest level without protection of a closed category. So there's a reason for these events and categories in their said sport. And mostly importantly, these athletes come in informed with the regulations and stipulations that were laid over them. And this doesn't seem like it was the case. See, it's important to see that 42% of the female athletes were not informed of the transgender athletes that were born male to compete in their female sport. So there was an extreme lack of communication between the athletes and the organization. Next, the biological differences between the sexes and their performance. It is said by the female Olympians, specifically by Engel, says that transgender women after hormone therapy are bigger and stronger on average than most cis women. See, these events were not designed to clash with those assigned chromosomes. So the reason that it's such a big issue is because the X and the Y, they don't mix. And males and females both have their designated traits for both their sexes. And it's important to note that this is a specific example between the muscle fibers within the tissues by males and females. You can see how the males are extremely increased compared to the females' biology. Now, it's said that several of longitude studies in transgender women show that basically the more lean body types and muscle cross-section areas, even after taking hormone therapy, does not quite decrease the muscle volume. And it can only most likely be increased by 5%. So they still retain their muscle strength. Now, because these don't mix, there needs to be a policy change to ensure fair competition. It is said that in a Fox Global News interview between Tucker Carlson and Joanna Harper, which is a transgender activist that is also an athlete and has been really prevalent in the scene trying to help transgender athletes. And that's not in benefit of to keep them out or exclude them, more so to keep the fairness. It is said that in an interview, she works in a committee that helps edit these stipulations to benefit the athletes in the organization. She said that she works in a committee that is trying to change the level of testosterone and regulate and keep track of the amount in these athletes' systems. So their community is specifically trying to keep track of the muscle fiber and the testosterone, but they're trying to better the system in order to keep them in closed sections. Over this past speech, I have mentioned many sources, many reasons of the need for these policy changes. And if there's no scientific reasoning or social crowd to back up these ideas, they won't make a change. So we need to sign petitions, bring it to light to help change this sort of area that means so much to people. And the change is clear, and no matter what their background or will do identity, they still deserve a chance, and they still deserve to be represented.